Okay, so today we're going to start with the sourdough starter. What we have here is some starter that I've had in the refrigerator for about a week, and I'm going to go ahead and combine this in equal parts of flour and water. So basically 1 part of the starter, 1 part of water, and the same amount of flour. And always use a scale to get it right on the money if you can, as close as possible. And we'll start with that, and we'll be right back. All right, so this is the digital scale I use. So basically, first thing you'll want to do is to zero out the scale. So I always place the bowl I'm going to put any ingredients in first, then simply press the button, and that will zero it out. And so therefore now I'm going to go ahead and add the starter and see how much we have. All right, so I ended up getting 50 grams of starter, which is fine. And I'm going to go ahead and put the starter in the jar here. I've got it all cleaned up and ready to go. So once again, I'm going to put in 50 grams of starter. Then I'm going to add 50 grams of flour and then another 50 grams of water. All right, so there's the 50 grams of flour. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add the 50 grams of water. And I just try to make it lukewarm, not hot, just get it lukewarm. Just get it as close as you can. I try to get it right up there, but just take your time. It doesn't take a lot of water. It's about right there. Maybe, there we go. Should be 50. Ta-da, close enough. So that'll do that. And so what I'll do is, here is the 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of starter. I'm going to add the water to that, and I'm going to mix it thoroughly, and we'll just leave it setting in a fairly warm room. It doesn't have to be hot, and you can cover it or uncover it. I tend to loosely cover it and just let it double in size. All right, so now this is the next day, and I've gone ahead and repeated the process. I took out half of the starter that rose during the day, discarded that, and I used the other half. I ended up getting about 100 grams of starter, and then so I added 100 grams of water, 100 grams of flour, mixed it, and here we are. So I've marked it right here, as you can see, with a piece of tape, and as the day progresses, and if the room is warm enough, not overly hot, but nice and warm, this will double in size at least, and then we can make our bread. All right, so now it's time for making bread. As you can see, our sourdough starter now has risen. I've had it out in the room now for 4 or 5 hours or more, and it's actually more than doubled in size. In fact, if you look in there, you can see it's nice and bubbly and lively, ready for action. And all we need is a little bit of salt, very little, flour and water. In fact, for this particular recipe, I'm using 100 grams of starter with 325 grams of water, just 10 grams of salt, or about 2 teaspoons, and 475 grams of all-purpose flour, or about 3½ cups. So I'm going to combine these ingredients, and with the water, again, just use kind of a warm water. And so I'm going to go ahead and combine all these ingredients, and then we'll show you what it looks like from there. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and mix it. I use this little tool right here to kind of blend the ingredients together. So once again, we have our water, a little bit of salt, the flour, and the starter. And so I'm going to just slowly mix this together. Not going to work it to get to death, but we're going to go ahead and mix it up nicely, and then I will take a quick pause here and go from there. All right, so we've blended it all together. It doesn't look real pretty right now, but it's mixed well, and we're just going to cover that now and let it sit for 30 minutes. Okay, so we've been sitting for 30 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and do a series of 3 of these. So what you want to do is you want to stretch the dough, and you want to do this process a total of 3 times. So here's the first time. So we're going to go ahead and grab the dough like this, and you want to pull it up and get air underneath it, like so. Kind of just, sometimes you might have to balance it a little bit. Then just poke it down into the middle. Spin the bowl a quarter of a turn. Do it again. I'm just kind of doing this quickly right now. If your hands dry out, then the dough will get a little sticky and stick to your hands. In any case, I do it a total of 8 turns. So just kind of do a quarter of a turn each time, and then get the little corners that are remaining the other 4 times. All right, so in any case, you do this a total of 3 times. So this is the first time. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover it and then let it sit for another 30 minutes. Then we're going to do it again. And then after that 30 minutes, we're going to stretch it one last time and then cover it. And then we'll come back in just a few. All right, so now we've stretched it the third and final time. I went ahead and covered it. Now I'm going to let it sit for probably 6 to 12 hours. Sometimes it takes a little longer depending on the temperature of your kitchen and the maturity of your starter. So I'm going to go ahead and cover it with a lid, a damp towel, or plastic wrap like I've done there. And basically wait till it doubles in size. Don't let it go too long again, and then once we get done with that, we'll come back and go from there. Okay, so the next step in the process is to roll out the dough onto a lightly floured surface. So we're going to do that in just a moment. And once we do, we're going to shape it, and then we're going to end up putting it in a lightly floured bonton or bontoon bowl. It's just a nice little bowl that you can get online. And so basically a cloth, a material here. And there's other ways you can do it, but these are great, and they hold the shape. So we'll be doing that in just a minute. Okay, so now we've got the dough out here on the counter, so I'm going to go ahead and just kind of roll it over. And again, it's just on a lightly floured surface here. So just again, kind of pull the dough onto itself a little bit and form a little bit of a ball there. Nice little shape. And then I have this nice tool here. These are really great to have. A little, about a 6-inch little scraper made for this. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of slide it underneath because it gets pretty sticky. And then just go ahead and set it on the side of the bonton bowl here. And so there we have it. So that's basically it. So now at this point, what we will do with the dough is to put it in a plastic bag and let it sit in the refrigerator from 12 to 15 hours, something like that, basically overnight. And so in the morning, I'll preheat the oven and we'll get it going. So we will pick up the process in just a few. Okay, so it's now bread making day, and the dough's been sitting overnight. It has a plastic cover over the top to keep it sealed, and it's been chilling all night. I'd say close to 14 hours now. And so we're going to go ahead and start preheating the oven. What you'll need is something like this. This is a Dutch oven. They come in lots of different colors, shapes, and sizes. They can be all cast iron. This has got the porcelain over the cast iron. I love this one. It's quite good and barely makes a mess at all, actually. So this is what we'll be using. So the first thing we'll do is we'll preheat our oven for 500 degrees. And some people recommend having this in the oven with the lid off, just the Dutch oven, for up to an hour. I only go about 30 minutes, get it nice and hot and preheated. And that's when we'll put in the bread. So that'll be our next step. So the next step in the process, as soon as your Dutch oven is near or at fully preheatedness, then you'll need to get the dough out of the refrigerator. You want to do this at the last minute, or within 5. Don't leave the dough out for too long. You want to get right on it. So what you'll do is get the dough out of the fridge, bring it over, and then you want to get the dough out and put it on a piece of parchment paper like this. And so this is what I use. I saw a tip online, and they recommend so the stuff doesn't curl. Like this. Makes a lot of sense, right? I'm thinking, really? But no, this is what you do, and then it actually will lay flatter and won't curl like a lot of it does. This stuff here does not curl too bad, actually. The last batch I had did. So anyway, that's what you do. And then we'll put the dough on here, we'll lift it from the corners and put it into the Dutch oven, and be very careful because it's awfully hot. All right, so we've taken the dough out of the refrigerator. The Dutch oven is pretty much up to temperature now, so I just put it in a baggie like this and kind of twist it down. And so this is what it looks like, and it's still nice and shiny. So the reason we put flour in here is because when I turn this upside down, it's going to want to cling to this fabric material, and you don't want to mess up the top of your bread. So that's why you put the flour in there. You can always brush it off later. So we're going to go ahead and place it here on the parchment paper, and kind of get it near the middle, and just kind of slowly work it off of there like that. And there you have it. Have a nice looking bit of dough there, ready for scoring. And so I'm going to use this right here. I have a couple of these, but this is what I'm using. There's many tools you can use. They have some really handy ones of these, but you always want to score your bread and do one cut, probably about a 1/4 inch deep, just kind of one long cut. And do it kind of quickly. Don't drag it slowly. Just kind of go ahead and drag it right on through. And make sure that I got it all the way through there. This is not working that well. Apologize. There we go. And so now we have a nice cut. I want to make sure it's long enough and deep enough. So anyway, so there's the main one. And then you can do some decorative designs on the sides. I don't do much. I just kind of put some little slices here, like, oops, that's a little too deep there. And then again, not sure if this is going to work out so well doing it this way. I'd rather use one of the little handy tools they have. They have, like I say, several available. So be careful with this blade, whatever you do. So now the next step will be, as soon as that's ready to go, which is basically now, we will take that and transport it into the Dutch oven. That's, again, very hot. Okay, so we've scored the dough, and it's now time to put the dough into the oven. So be very careful with this. This thing's awfully hot. I get it out as far as I can. Some people take the pan all the way out, but I just prefer to leave it like that. And then we will drop this in carefully. And sometimes the paper will want to bunch up on the dough, so it's going to poke it away from the dough if you can, and get the lid on there. So you want to leave this in there for 20 minutes, and then we'll take the lid off. So now it's time for our next step. All right, so now we are complete on our baking. So what we did there is 20 minutes with the lid on, and then I removed the lid and put a small piece of tin foil just kind of loosely over the top, and did it for another 20 minutes. I actually lowered the temperature to 475, and so we're done. So we're going to pull the loaf out and see how it looks. And they always look just a little different. It depends on how you do your scoring. And so at this point, just be very careful. This is, I warn you, extremely hot. I can grab it, there we go. But the bread stays, or the paper stays pretty well to hang on to. And so there it is. So I'm going to, let's see. It's a little hot to hold on to. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. And again, it turns out a little bit different every time as far as physical looks, as far as the scoring goes and all that. But I mean, look at the crust, and it's a great loaf of bread. Won second place at the Oregon State Fair. So it turns out good every time, and family loves it. You'll love it too. Thanks for watching.